For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like the G3 Sportsman, featuring sturdy construction and superior features. These perfect fishing boats were designed with wide deck space, plenty of storage, and a smart layout. And they also deliver more fun per gallon than anything else on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
The following is a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.
You are watching the Sports Source Kickoff with John Pennington, presented by Madisonville Marine.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome into the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by Madisonville Marine. We're going to be talking about the Alabama game, which means enjoy your day while you can. It's a good morning. Who knows if it's going to be a good afternoon? My guess is probably not if you're a UT fan. We'll discuss what kind of plan can Tennessee come up with to hang with Alabama. We'll discuss the coaching situation, of course, that has to come up. And we'll discuss what's the biggest problem with this offense that is becoming historically bad. We'll discuss that first. Let's get right into our show. First segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine, of course. And one of the things that makes these guys so special is the fact they offer this just a monster selection of boats. It's enormous. They built a great big new showroom, and then they have a lot that goes on and on and on beside that. If you go down there, you're going to spend hours walking between the boats and looking at the different makes and models. But even with all those boats, with all that size, they treat you like they're a family-owned small business. I mean, it is customer service like you wouldn't believe. That's why people keep coming back year after year for more than 40 years. madmarine.com. Madisonville Marine, Highway 411 North in Madisonville. Folks, when I tell you there's no better place to buy a boat, I mean it. Madisonville Marine. All right, want to welcome in the panel. Jimmy Himes, VFL LaMarcus Thompson, VFL Will Overstreet, Mike Griffith down there. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. As I said, we'll talk about the game plan, if you can call it that, and the Butch Jones situation later. But let's talk about the offense and show you some numbers here just to get started that really are pretty horrific when you talk about where this thing is in Larry Scott's first year, if we have these. There we go. No touchdowns in the last 10 quarters, averaging less than 22 points per game, which is last in the SEC. They got 16 touchdowns on the year, 379 offensive snaps. That means they get a touchdown once out of every 24 snaps. And when you consider how many 3-and-outs this team goes through, that's a lot of drives in between touchdowns. 67 plays of 10 yards or more. Well, that's the fewest in the SEC. 19 plays of only 19 plays. You're halfway through the year. They've only had 19 plays of 20 or more yards. Last in the SEC. Third down conversions, hey, they're 13th in the SEC there, next to last. Red zone conversions, last in the SEC. Guys, the only group personally that I wouldn't put some of this blame on is the running backs. But when it comes to offensive linemen, wide receivers, quarterbacks, what area, and I'll come back with mine, we'll see if anybody matches, what area is the starting point? What area do you think handicaps the rest of that offense? I don't want to hear anybody say, well, it's even. I'm going to put you on the spot. Which position group to you has the biggest issue that filters out to everybody else?
Well, it's almost even. No, I think if I had to pin it down, I'd go offensive line because Tennessee's not running the ball very effectively. Even with John Kelly the last 2 games, he's had 102 yards. He's averaged 3.1 a carry. I don't think the run blocking has been very good. I don't think the pass protection has been very good. Not all of the sacks are because of the offensive line. I get that. But I don't think they're good in either area, and I think that hamstrings everything. Yes, there's some blame for receivers, and yes, there's some blame for quarterbacks, but I would say the offensive line.
Okay, we got an offensive line vote. Gentlemen?
Definitely offensive line.
It's offensive line. I mean, you had your most experience, the most guys with the most playing time, and frankly, that's what you need that group to perform when you're bringing in a new quarterback. They have it.
Griff, you agree offensive line?
I think a lot of it's – I'm going to go with the receivers, though.
That's where
I thought when they lost Juwan Jennings, I thought that was a game changer for Tennessee. I mean, that's your go-to receiver, junior receiver Josh Malone went pro, Preston Williams, your 5-star receiver quit, and all of a sudden you're down to Tyler Bird being the leading returning receiver. And, oh, by the way, he's only got 3 catches and looks like he wants to play on defense. Hasn't really shown up this year. If they've got a receiver that can run the right route and catch passes in the end zone, they beat Florida and probably beat South Carolina, and Tennessee's sitting here 5-1. But you know what? if it's and buts were candies and nuts, John.
I think it's receivers, and the reason, now again, you're right, it is close to being everything, but I think receivers are the first issue because one, if a quarterback drops back to pass and his first read isn't there, okay, now you're asking that offensive line to protect him a little bit longer. I think the wide receiver exposes the quarterbacks who are back there. The lack of receivers exposes the quarterbacks. You've had a drop versus Florida by a receiver. He also had one by a running back. He had a drop in the end zone by a receiver that could have won the game. You had what looked to be a rounded off route instead of a route that I think was designed to go straight across the goal line against South Carolina that probably could have won you the game if you make that catch. And then also, what does that do? We said before the season, if you've got new quarterbacks, what you want is to have everybody firing on all cylinders around them so they're not having to carry the team. Well, if they don't know where the receivers are going to be, and the receivers have had drops time and time again, what does that do for a quarterback's
That's part
confidence?
of why they changed. That's part of why they changed quarterbacks. Because the idea with Dormady is he's a guy that can get through his progressions. He's experienced. He can spread the ball around. But there's nobody to spread the ball to, so you've got to go to more of a run base. Add that 12th offensive player in Jarrett Garantano and say, you know what? These receivers aren't worthy of having 3 and 4 sets out there. I don't think, John.
Well, and the interesting. Well, let's talk about that. I'll let Will go there because you're always first to talk about the positions they have on the field. They don't typically, if your best positions, if your best players are running backs, get more running backs on the field. That's not, last year it was receivers, this year it's 2 tight ends and receivers. Your thoughts on the way they're using the personnel?
Yeah, this is one of my biggest criticisms for this coaching staff since they've been here. It's getting the best players on the field at the same time. If you've got 3 deep at running back and they're all really good, get as many of those guys on the field as possible. Don't, your tight ends are not the best in the world, but the majority of your plays is 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. Why don't you do 2 running backs, 1 tight end? I mean, it just doesn't seem like at times that they look at the talent on their team and say, we're going to design the offense and our play selection off the best athletes and getting them the ball. Instead, they put X's and O's and say, well, this guy, if he does this, should run it. Those guys have jersey numbers on, and what they can do and who they're going to be matched up against is what you're looking to do. It's not a system that wins you football games. It's getting the guy that can run really fast and do a lot of plays and getting him the ball. It's not a system. It's how do I get the best players on my team in the best situation to make something happen. And that's what this coaching staff, I think, lacks most of the time.
Gentlemen, thoughts on what Will said or more on receivers versus offensive line? Or let me throw out a third one that you can take. They went to the more mobile quarterback last week in Garantano. He had 10 carries for outside the sacks, 10 carries for 44 yards. Offense still didn't take off, which to me gets back to this system wasn't perfectly suited for Dormady. And Garantano is not Josh Dobbs. But if your system requires a Josh Dobbs type athlete to be good, then maybe it's time to chuck that system.
If it does, by the
well,
way.
well, if that's the
Pretty
case.
much.
Well, if that's the case, if you have to be a generational how many players has Tennessee had over the years that were equal to Dobbs? All right, Holloway maybe, T. Martin maybe. So we're talking 3 guys in the last 50 years that could run that offense. And my problem is a lot of schools run this offense. So the question is, why are they running it if it requires the greatest quarterback you've had?
A lot of teams run it more efficiently than Tennessee does.
No question.
Without a doubt. And so now back to your deal, they weren't exactly recruiting zone read quarterbacks through the years. So, but my problem with that is Dormady's not a zone read quarterback. So why were you recruiting him? So you didn't recruit a player to fit your system. I think Garantano fits the system a little bit better because he does have mobility. But one of the reasons he had 10 carries was he was having to scramble because they didn't pass protect very well. To me, that was a part of it.
I'm going to agree with Jimmy and also agree with Will. Your play selection, that's the biggest thing. I'm not seeing the matchups. Where are the mismatches? I don't see the linebackers on a running back or a wide receiver on a linebacker. I haven't seen it all year. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but it's just your matchups are not there. You look at, say, some other coaches in offense, you're finding, they're putting those matchups on that receiver that's going down the seam and he's on the lineup on a linebacker. It's touchdown. I haven't seen that all year. So, what's going on with your play selection? Are they figuring it all out there? I don't know.
We definitely do not dictate to a defense and put them in bad situations and have to adjust. We basically come out and the defense says, well, I'm going to run blitzes. And we then respond to that. But we're not going out there setting the tone and saying, you have to be considerate of this and you have to adjust to that. And we don't do that.
And right now it seems as though they're kind of grasping at straws, which is understandable because nothing's working at the moment. But it's out of the blue. You're kind of running the ball well against South Carolina, and then you try the little receiver back pass. Really? Is that the place to run that? I mean, it just seems like they're rolling the dice to see what turns up for them, and they keep coming up snake eyes at the moment. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about what can Tennessee do against Alabama. This is one of, if not the best, Nick Saban team. Think about that for a second. That's saying something. What should Tennessee be doing this afternoon? Should they be letting it all hang out and risk getting clubbed 100-0? Or should they take the Kiffin approach from a few years ago and try and be conservative and keep it clean? We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source Kickoff, presented by Madisonville Marine.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like G3 John boats, built Gator tough. G3 Johns include all the features you could want from a workhorse boat. Massive live well capacity, lockable storage, even a midship fuel tank that allows for smoother running. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
From downtown to the duck pond, Broadway has about 30 traffic lights. In our 30 years, we've helped people hurt at most of these intersections, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
When it comes to your business, no one provides better security and life safety systems than Safety Systems. Protect your employees, your products, and your records with a single phone call. Professional technicians ready to design, install, and monitor your cutting-edge fire and security systems. Electric locks and surveillance cameras. Emergency and after-hours response and repairs. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and life safety systems.
Welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff. This segment of our program brought to you by Chariots of Hire, executive travel, chartered buses, vans, anything for celebrations. But Chariots of Hire can do all of that. But they can also turn a first date into a lasting memory. They can turn a night on the town into a night you're always going to remember. Check out chariotsofhire.com for any special occasion you want to do upright. It doesn't have to be a huge event. It can be just a special one-on-one anniversary dinner that you want to treat someone out to an incredible evening. Chariots of Hire. When it comes to a night on the town, give them a shot. I'm telling you, you'll be very impressed by their rates. Their drivers are fantastic, and their fleet, and it is a fleet of vehicles, unmatched. Chariots of Hire. All right, gentlemen, we will talk about the coaching situation next, but what the heck can Tennessee do to hang around with Alabama today? Do you go out there and say, you know what do we got to lose? I don't see Butch Jones doing that because he has a lot to lose. But do you go out there and let it all hang out? Or do you do what Lane Kiffin did, your coach, in 2009? I don't know if he told you this in the locker room, but it was clear from the plan against Florida and Alabama that year. They were trying and be conservative, keep it close, and it almost worked, Jimmy. What do you guys do today? Are you going in conservative, trying to keep this thing respectable if you're Butch Jones? Milking the play clock down to the last second? Or do you go out there and let it all hang
Butch
out.
has said you've got to be able to run to do anything with the offense. I mean, you've got to find some balance. If Alabama, you can't just go back and throw the ball every down because your quarterback's not going to make it through the game. So they've got to try and find some semblance of a running game. I'm guessing we're going to get to see a little bit of Tennessee's screen game. I predict that Alabama will bring some pressure today. And I don't know how well Jarrett Garantano throws the screen, Jimmy. That's a question I've had about him. We know he's got a strong arm, but have we really seen those touch passes yet?
Well, for me, you better be taking the play clock down to as close as you can, because your defense in the third and fourth quarter, if you haven't done that, it's going to be 10 yards of carry. I mean, you're going to leave them out there way too long. You have not been good on third down. So the best thing you can come out with is, well, we may not be good at third down this game, but we're going to take up as much time with those 3 downs as we possibly can. So I think that's the real key of this game. They've got to play that type of game, because otherwise you will get run out of the building.
You guys agree? Go conservative?
I do. Yeah, it gave you the best chance in the last 10 years to win.
Against Alabama, that was the best chance. Yeah.
It was the best chance, and look, if it starts to get away from you, yeah, you'll probably have to try to throw in a trick play or 2 here or there to get something sustained or get a big play, a splash play, which, as you pointed out, there haven't been very many of them. But I think that's basically the only way. Look, even against South Carolina, there weren't very many possessions in that game. I think there might have been 5 each half for each team. I think that's the best chance Tennessee has to keep it close and to hang in there with them.
LaMarcus, you were on that 2009 Tennessee team that lost at Alabama, and that's another one. Everybody said, "Oh my gosh, the line is incredible," and it's huge. But it was pretty big back then too. No one went into that game. They were on our show the previous week. We thought, "Oh God, next week's going to be brutal." And if not for a couple of Terrence Cody blocks of field goals, Tennessee wins that game. You guys played it close to the vest and almost worked for you. What do? Do you follow that same plan, or do you?
Well, I don't think we have the same amount of players as far as as far as the talent on that team and talent on this team, as far as keeping it close. So I think what you're going to have to do, especially on offense with Garantano, yes, play it conservative as far as taking it down to the last wire as far as play clock, but you have to take the handcuffs off of him. In the South Carolina game, they had that playbook very, very, very tight knit, and I mean, you can definitely tell from, say, it was a prevent defense in the last drive of the game, but from the last drive to the entire game, it was a completely different offense. I mean, so don't play to not make mistakes. Play the game. Let him play his game, because you do that and play not to make mistakes, that's when those mistakes happen, and that's when you don't play to the caliber that he can play.
I think that's an indictment in itself. I'm not trying to add an underscore to what you just said, but I don't completely disagree that there was more talent on 2009 than there is now. You've had these big recruiting classes, but the problem is you've had guys leave. You've had some injuries this year, nothing like last year.
Key injuries.
Okay, but lots of schools have key injuries.
It's
nothing like last year was an excuse.
Offense.
This year's, I'm not giving that excuse.
Well, I think in a transition year it is, John. I mean, when you lose your starting middle linebacker and he's the best guy.
I'm not saying it's not important. It's just, it's not, you haven't lost 52 starts like you did last year. Last year you were the #1 injured team in the country. There was no denying it. It was there in the numbers. You had 14 more starts lost than Florida did, and they were second most in the SEC. Last year was unbelievable. I'm just not going to put as much on, yes, you've lost key players. But at some point, why are we talking about this team not having as much talent as the 2009 team?
Well, here's the indictment to me. And was Jennings a big loss on offense? Yes. Huge. Was Kirkland a big loss? But you didn't recruit well enough to replace that. And you're in year 5. So I think that's part of it. You haven't recruited well enough to be able to overcome injuries or having players leave early to the NFL.
Or, and there's another possibility here, maybe they have recruited well enough, but they just don't like to play those guys. I mean, they don't like to play the backups unless they have to. I mean, you've kind of seen that the last couple of years. Early on, throw them out there. It's gotten a little more tight in terms of who gets out there now.
The other big thing is they don't move guys around. Yeah. They don't take a Dominic Stevenson who comes in as a running back and move him to linebacker, or Jason Witten to defensive end to tight end, or Fred Weary to offensive line, or Scott Wells to offensive line. Taking great players and saying, well, okay, we recruited you defensive tackle, but you're a better offensive lineman and you might play in the NFL for a long time. That's what they're not doing. The guy comes in as a defensive tackle, he stays a defensive tackle.
I wouldn't say they've done none of it, but they certainly haven't done a lot of it. All right. To put it in context, what Tennessee's going to face today, let's go to this graphic if we've got it, Saban's best. Alabama is just first in the SEC in scoring offense, first in rushing offense, first in total offense, first in scoring defense, first in rushing defense. If you think you can finally, maybe you can win by getting some turnovers, nope, they're first in turnover margin too. But the good news is they're just second in total defense. So there's your end.
And number 1 in run defense in the country.
Thought I had that
in the nation.
Yeah,
in the country.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, there are people out there online who have Butch Jones already fired, John Gruden already hired. We jumping the gun on this a little bit. Come on back, we'll tell you what we've heard.
When it comes to your home, no one provides better security and audio-video systems than Safety Systems. Control everything using your tablet or smartphone, whether it's a hidden TV or the temperature in your home. Lighting, doors that open and close, lock and unlock, cameras that allow you to watch your home from wherever you may be, all at the touch of a button. Trust Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in security and audio-video systems.
For more than 40 years, East Tennesseans have trusted Madisonville Marine. They offer great prices, terrific customer service, and the biggest selection of boats in the area. Boats like Suncatcher pontoons, ultra luxurious, sophisticated, and stylish. You won't find a more family-friendly pontoon boat, all with cutting-edge technology designed to enhance the quality of your time on the water. See for yourself at Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Have you been hurt in a car wreck? Bill Hodson Associates, the car wreck attorneys, have helped thousands of people all over Knoxville and East Tennessee.
Two of America's busiest interstate highways intersect in Knoxville. Interstate speed keeps traffic moving, but it can also result in terrible wrecks. We've helped a lot of people hurt in these wrecks, and we're ready to help you right now.
Experience you can trust. Bill Hodson Associates.
Come experience the Lexus life at Lexus of Knoxville, a level of service and satisfaction that goes above and beyond the everyday. We're a consecutive 5-time Elite of Lexus Award winner and rated 4.7 out of 5 stars for customer satisfaction according to Google. Lexus of Knoxville offers a limited lifetime powertrain warranty on all new and select pre-owned vehicles with unlimited miles. Enjoy express service, extended service hours with courtesy vehicles, and much more. Come experience the Lexus life at lexusofknoxville.com.
From games to weddings to parties, and from executive travel to a night on the town, Chariots of Hire is the simplest, most cost-effective, safest way to turn an event into a lasting memory. Their dozens of vehicles allow you to select the perfect ride for your need, and their superior service guarantees you'll arrive in style. More options, more drivers, more experience. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Chariots of Hire.
And welcome back into the Sports Source Kickoff Show presented by Madisonville Marine. This segment brought to you by Lexus of Knoxville. And right now, it's the Lexus Fall Collection Sales Event. 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on, look at these models, ES, ESH, GS, GSH, GSF, and GX models. Time is running out, though. This huge event runs only through Halloween, October 31st, and it ends. So get out to Lexus of Knoxville. Check out their incredible deals this week. Lexus of Knoxville. Want to remind you, tomorrow, big show on the Sports Source over on WATE at 11 a.m. We're in year 15. I want to thank you because last week was just a huge audience. Appreciate that. You see all the guys will be there. In orange, it's our VFLs. Sterling, Daniel, David, and Will be with us. That's going to be big because who knows what we'll be talking about after the Alabama game. A lot of people think we'll be talking about a press conference. But here's the deal. Online, there's a group that Butch Jones is already fired. The deal's coming. It's already, there's some people say it's already been agreed to. The announcement comes Sunday after the game, and Tennessee's already so far down the line with John Gruden. It's good to go. Now, he may back out, but the layout for the deal is in place. He's looking for property. All's good. Jumping the gun here a little bit. I mean, I don't know that anybody should be expecting a press conference Sunday based on the Alabama outcome, unless it's 80-0. I'm not sure you're going to see that. Jimmy, I know you've talked about it on radio.
Yeah, when have we seen Tennessee fans jump the gun? Come on. Yeah, I think that is jumping the gun. I've been assured by a number of sources that Butch Jones will coach the Kentucky game. So now if it is 60-0, maybe the bets are off, but I don't anticipate that. But I was told that he would coach the Kentucky game. What happens after that would determine his future. But all this stuff about Gruden, they're so far down the road with Gruden. No, there's no chance. Forget it. It's not going to happen. It wasn't going to happen last time. It's not going to happen this time. Forget it.
But it was a done deal last time. Then mean old Haslam stepped in and said, I don't want to yield my power and control. That's
Haslam was offering him a contract. That guy was trying to get him here. So anyway,
the Kentucky game is critical. No,
what have you been told?
Same as Jimmy. That the Alabama game has no immediate bearing on Butch Jones' future, but the Kentucky game,
which is going to cause people out there listening to you to scream,
is critical. Now, if Tennessee loses like 70-0 today in historic fashion, then maybe somebody picks up the phone and says, do it now, and you're looking at an interim. But I've been told the Kentucky game is critical, and I've been told that if Butch Jones were to win out from Kentucky on, that he could keep his job.
Same here. Decision hadn't been made by John Curry. That's what I've been told.
Let's just sit here and let that one simmer. Let's just let that one sit there. Now, look, I find it hard to believe. My guess is, I thought South Carolina would be an empty stadium.
Well, if you go 8-4, John.
Yeah, I still think you got a number of fans who aren't going to be over there.
Right.
I thought it would be an empty stadium, South Carolina. It's a better crowd than I thought, but they were all late arriving, which makes me think, and I've had a lot of people tell me this since, well, I got a ticket for $3. This is the first game I've been to all year. At what point do those people say, I'm not going over there to even be for $3? So I don't see an 8-4 finish coming, and I also don't see fans continuing to go if it's anything less than 8-4. So in my view, it's still, I would be surprised if Butch Jones returns next year. But are you guys surprised you're being told that the decision has not been made yet? Are you surprised based on what you've seen and what you know of the fan base? Are you surprised that UT saying, no, I've not made a choice yet?
No, I'm not surprised at that. I think John Curry wants to keep Butch Jones. I don't think he wants to fire him. Butch Jones has to give him a reason to keep him. Right. It's in Butch's court right now. I'm not sure that Butch is going to give him a reason to keep him.
Right. I think the fans would argue he already is giving him reasons to go.
I do not believe John Curry's made a decision right now.
And let's not underestimate Coach Fulmer's influence on this. You know, he's not just an advisor to the president; he's an advisor to John Curry as well. And it was wrong. What happened to Philip Fulmer was wrong.
Let's not relive it. We've got
you have to relive it. You have to learn from history, John. You don't fire a coach with games remaining in the season, and you certainly don't talk about firing a coach with games remaining in the season. You've got to let the coach finish it out, and you've got to have somebody ready to go.
Okay, I'll give you credit. I thought you were going to go back to how wrong it was to fire Philip Fulmer, period.
No, it was wrong to fire him with games remaining in the season. That was a huge mistake, and I think Tennessee's learned from that.
All it cost you was Wyoming that year.
I think it cost you credibility, and I think it cost you future candidates.
I disagree.
Well, see, to this point, to what he's saying, and we interviewed Philip Fulmer on Monday, he will adamantly oppose Tennessee about firing Butch Jones with multiple games left. Now, whether he has that much influence, I don't know, but I know he would be opposed to it.
Sure, because he's been through it.
That's exactly right.
But it's not like that's unheard of around
what's
the country.
Benefit?
I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying I wouldn't go back and say
8 games left.
Here's the thing. If you lose to Alabama and you lose to Kentucky, what good does it do you to continue to go down that road for November? If the team has quit and you're not winning and the stands are empty, why not go to an interim? Because everybody knows you're going to make a move at that point, you would think.
I think they would if they lose to Kentucky.
Right.
I do.
And see, the trick is, what good does it do you now? I agree, because unlike people who are out there, I don't think they're running around talking to Butch Jones every day saying, well, you still got a shot. Is Gruden on the phone for me? I don't think that's happening. So there's really nobody that's going to take this show. Let's say Chip Kelly, who's the other dream candidate. I didn't think Gruden would shoot past him again, but he has. But Chip Kelly, if you went to Chip Kelly right now and said, here's $10 million a year, come take it, he's not going to take it. Why? Because he's got an agent, David Dunn, who's smart enough to say, whoa, UCLA could come open, A&M could come open. You got options, and we can create a bidding war. $10 million, try $12 million. So there's no real benefit to doing it now. If it gets worse, though, I don't see why you'd go through November if it's just the national media continues to say, why is he still over there? If he looks like a condemned man, at some point, put him out of his misery. But there's still time on the clock for him to turn it around. Thank you, Mike, Will, LaMarcus, Jimmy. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow at 11 o'clock on WATE 6 for the Sports Source. See you then.
This has been a presentation of Fox 43 Sports.